Okay, Kyler, let's take a look at your chipping technique at the beginning of the session. Now let's look at the chipping technique in several key positions. This is the setup, and it's one of the most important positions. The first thing to understand is that your golf swing is a circle, and the key to good chipping is based on where you make contact with the golf ball on that circle. When you chip, you must make sure that the low point of your swing is in front of the golf ball. We want to hit the ground in front of the ball, not at the ball, or certainly not behind the ball. Your setup can either harm or hinder your ability to do that. One of the first things every good player does that has developed a good chipping motion is they will set up their left arm in a straight extended line. And your arm is bent at the elbow, and then you have the shaft. You want to have a straight line to the golf ball, and you want your hands in front of the ball. That will help you hit down into the golf ball. Some other important fundamentals of chipping is to put a little bit more weight on your front foot. When you do that, that also helps move the low point of your swing in front of the golf ball. Your weight is evenly divided, you're evenly balanced between both feet. So to improve your setup, you're going to want to shift your weight and put just a little bit more weight on your left side. Also, when you're hitting short game shots, it's helpful to choke down a little bit on the club. Another important fundamental when chipping and pitch shots is to keep your weight on your left foot in the backswing. Keep in mind that if you want to have your low point of your swing in front of the golf ball, then you have to have your weight on that left side. Wherever your weight goes, so does the low point. And when you rock back to your back foot, you end up moving the low point of your swing behind the golf ball. And now you've made it more difficult to hit in front of the ball, and that you're going to too often hit behind the golf ball, hit what we call hitting fat, hitting the ground behind the golf ball. So to help minimize the times that you hit behind the golf ball, you want to learn how to keep your weight on that left side during the backswing. One of the things I really like is that you've done a pretty good job here of keeping your left arm straight. It's not super straight, but it's somewhat extended, which is very good. You can see that you've angled this club and this forearm so that you're starting to hinge the wrist a little bit. As you become better, you're going to learn how to keep this elbow here a little bit closer to the side and not let it fly up in the air so much. You're going to want to keep that elbow kind of tucked into the side of your body. Now we are at impact, and you can see how this left arm is still bent, and you've kind of raised up, and you're standing much taller than you were when you started. Your weight is falling backwards a little bit. In fact, on this particular shot, you kind of hit the ball on the upswing because your low point was behind the ball, and you basically bladed the ball, and that ball, instead of going up, it went more just along the ground. Now, as you improve your technique so that your hands become positioned in front of the ball at impact, it'll be much easier to get the face of the club under the ball so that you can hit it up in the air. The first video was your swing before the session began, before we began working on your fundamentals. This video is showing your swing after you had made some changes. Much better. Let's compare this new swing to your first swing. The swing on the left was at the beginning before we started making some changes in your fundamentals. The video on the right was toward the end of the chipping session after we incorporated some of the changes I've been talking about. Let's look at your fundamentals now in your chipping. I'm drawing a line off the left foot. I talked about it's important to have more weight on your left foot than your right foot, and you can see that you easily do that. That's a very good position. I talked about having a more extended left arm and try to have a straight line from the shoulder all the way to the behind the golf ball. And now you do. Look at that nice extension right in line with the shaft. That's pro-like right there. That's very good, Kyler. That makes it easier now to get your hands under the in front of the golf ball. So it's easier to hit down into the golf ball so that your low point of your swing is in front of the ball. And the club will come down before it goes up. Now we're at the end of the backswing. This is the before and after you made changes. The one on the left here, you can see how you're shifting to the right. And the new swing, you've maintained your weight on that left foot. That's excellent. So here you were moving away from the yellow line, and here you were staying on that yellow line. That's a very good change that you've made there. That makes it easier for you to keep that low point of your swing in front of the ball instead of moving to behind the golf ball. And that's going to make your contact with the golf ball much more solid. It's going to be easier to get under the ball so the ball goes up in the air. Wow, Calla, this looks excellent. Before you made the important changes, you had a very bent left arm here, and your hands were kind of behind the golf ball, and you weren't able to hit down into it, and you ended up sculling a lot of shots and blade them along the ground. Your weight was falling back, and which caused you to swing up into the ball and not get under it. But now at impact, you're really on that left side. Your hands are in front of the golf ball. You've got that shaft leaning towards the target. Your hands are in front. Your arm is extended. Just a much better, fundamentally sound technique right there. You can also see how that club face is under the ball. That ball is going to go up. Here we're seeing the two shots that you hit, and you can see how this ball just basically went along the ground because you were not able to hit down on it and get the face under the ball so it would go up, whereas this ball is going up in the air. Excellent. Now let's take a look at the end of the chipping motion. The swing on the left is at the beginning of the session, and the one on the right is after you made some changes. You can see quite a bit of a difference in how you look here. Before, you had a tendency to fall backwards. You can see how you're kind of falling backwards here. The center of your head basically is right on top of your back foot. With your new position, you have moved more of your weight on this left leg. Your leg is angled here, your leg is angled here. So it's a much better position. Also, it's important to keep your posture and tilt that you set up with, and that is easier to do if you keep this head down. You can see how your eyes are still looking here after you've swung through. When you do that, when you keep your eyes down like that, you keep the spine tilted over. And so the distance from your eyes to the ground is constant, which makes it easy for the club to swing through and strike the ball consistently. Here you've lifted up and you're much taller now, and your eyes are looking out this way. And you've stood up, and if you don't control that lift properly, you'll mishit the ball a lot. I like the fact that you've kept your follow-through shorter. Here, this follow-through is actually a little too much. So this is a much better classic finish right here. Very good. Well, Kyler, that completes the chipping portion of your swing report. And just continue to work on those fundamentals, and we'll continue to refine and add additional fundamentals to your technique in future sessions.